from a man who violently slammed his girlfriend to the floor, causing her to lose consciousness, and later resisted arrest while damaging a police vehicle.
Okay. And how did he appear to you?
He was upset, visually upset. He did have blood on his forearm.
To another who waited until a courtroom camera feed cut out before threatening a witness with retaliation during a recess.
He waited until the sound went out.
Okay, when you say how do you know he waited until the sound went out?
These cases show Judge Simpson's zero tolerance for violence, starting with Mr. Gibson, who thought slamming his girlfriend to the ground, knocking her unconscious, and then throwing a tantrum in a police car was just another day, damaging property and defying officers like it meant nothing. Let's see how Judge Simpson handles this.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can we start with the case -1110?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor. The people would first call Deputy Gerwig to the stand, Your Honor.
Sir, please come forward and be sworn.
You take a seat, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So, please spell your first and last name for the record, please.
Brian, you're a liar.
Good afternoon. Deputy Gerwig, what do you do for a living?
I'm not sheriff's office.
And how long have you been employed there?
3 years this year.
And I'd like to direct your attention to March 14th of 2025. Were you working that day? What shift? And were you in a marked patrol car? And were you in uniform? And on that date, were you dispatched to the area of 8517 Cargo Drive?
Yes.
And is that in Ypsilanti?
Yes.
Washtenaw County?
Yep.
Michigan?
Yep.
And what was the nature of that dispatch?
It came out as a domestic incident. Caller was third party, who was the father of a female, saying that his daughter and her boyfriend were getting into the apartment.
And did you come into contact with anyone on scene? Who?
The caller, well, I got my caller as just print out.
Okay. And how did he appear to you?
He was upset, visually upset. He did have blood on his forearm.
Okay. And did he want to report an incident to you?
Yeah.
And when did this incident occur in relation to the statement he gave to you?
Just moments before, probably 5 to 10.
Okay. And was there anyone else in the residence at this time?
At the time,
Okay. And you said a 911 call was placed?
correct.
And do you recognize this?
Okay.
And what's contained on this flash drive?
911 call.
And did you review the contents of the flash drive before this hearing?
Right.
Okay. And did you recognize a voice on that call? Whose voice was it? Your Honor, the people would move to admit People's Proposed Exhibit 1.
Any objection or what, or I think by stipulation here?
No, good.
All right. Exhibit 1 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can I plug it in?
Yep.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
Oh, really? To me.
And what's happening?
I think you should
I don't you want to hold on with your daughter. Hold on with your daughter.
Maybe you need.
Okay. Is there an apartment number there or is that a house?
No, that's the address, ma'am. Townhouse.
Okay. And when you say she's into it, is somebody arguing?
But, yeah,
Who's your daughter arguing?
a boyfriend. Hey,
Not that illegal couple?
yes, I'm telling you, probably, because I need to bring all over me.
Okay. And hold on. Has somebody been physically assaulted?
Oh,
They assault each other?
yes, ma'am.
And do they need an ambulance?
No, but you can't even be stuff out of my house.
Okay. Say, where this is not over right now, okay?
Get in there, dog. Come here. Hold on. No, come on, man.
Has anybody seen you on the street today?
Not that I know. I will.
What's your name?
My name is fun.
We've got the phone in, okay?
Thank
Where
you.
are they now?
Thank you.
Where are they now?
Come on.
What is the male name?
Thank you.
How do you spell that last name? We have to work out the phone, we're getting them out of the way. Let it just What's his first name? Spell that for me. How old he is? Are they on foot or do they have a car? What kind of car? Oh, they don't, they're on foot? What's he wearing? Black and white shoes? And she left with him? And what is she with? And her name? Do you know which way they headed or where they're going? Do you want us to have answers for your daughter? They come back or they change their before they get their life to help with their
So going back, you said Lucius wanted to report an incident. What incident did he want to report? And what did he say happened? In your it's a present sense impression of what he just saw happen after police got there.
Kind of allowed in, but
So he reported, what did he want to report? And what did he say happened? And did he say anything else happened?
That they got into it, that he was, he tried to break them up.
And did he say what happened to Lucinda after she was slammed to the floor? And when you arrived at 8517 Cargo Drive, did you take any photos of the scene? Your Honor, may I approach the witness with people's proposed exhibits? I guess I could change these. 2 through 4.
yes, you may. Let me just ask this, officer. When you arrived there, who were you speaking with?
On Caesar,
Pardon?
I was talking to the father, Evan's girlfriend's father, yes.
All right.
The person I called.
And how did he appear at the time that you?
He was distraught, upset.
All right, and that was approximately, I think you said 5 to 10 minutes after the incident had occurred. All right. Just so the record is clear, I'm allowing it either in the present sense impression or as an excited utterance, and that he was under distress of the situation at the time. So go ahead, Coach.
And may I approach the witness?
You may.
And what did I just hand you? And are these a fair and accurate representation of the scene as you observed it on March 14th? Your Honor, the people moved to admit exhibits 2 through 4.
Any objection or voir dire?
No objection.
Exhibits 2 through 4, 2, 3, and 4?
Correct, Your Honor.
2, 3, and 4 are admitted.
And may we publish them to the court, Your Honor?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
And do you know Devin Gibson? Is he in the courtroom today?
Yeah.
Can you briefly describe where he's sitting and something he's wearing?
Sitting,
And Your Honor, please let the record reflect that this witness has made an in-court identification of the defendant.
Record show so reflects without objection.
So during that same shift, at some point, did you find yourself at 8695 Spinnaker Way? And how did you come to be at that address?
a separate caller, in no relation to the original call we were on call, saying that there's a male and female in the laundry room that's arguing.
Okay. And what happened when you got to that address?
We made contact with later that Devin and Lysandra.
And did you interact with Devin when you arrived on scene? And did additional deputies arrive on scene? What others?
Deputy Russell, Sergeant Howe. Deputy.
And What interaction did you have with the defendant when you arrived?
He was in the line with, who was active.
And did you take any action toward the defendant at this point? What action did you take?
And it was an attempt to detain him pending further investigation.
And at this time, were you wearing a department issued body worn camera?
Yeah.
And was it activated and recording? If I can have a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
And do you recognize this?
Yes.
What is this?
This.
And is this a fair and accurate representation of what you saw that day?
Yes.
Your Honor, the people would move to admit people's proposed exhibits. It's 2 clips from the body camera. I believe 5 and 6.
Any objection or order? Exhibits 5 and 6 are admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. May we publish to the court?
Yes.
This shit right here, don't really strange us. I was not thinking I'm gonna watch that thing, bro. Oh, it's got I'm not resisting. 5%, bro. Why not change, bro? Why did I do that?
So after you arrested the defendant, what did you do next? And then what happened next?
He began to kick the back passenger door.
Where were you taking him once he was put in the patrol car? And so what happened when he was being transported?
He kept kicking the back window. Once he kept asking what his charges were going to be. We advised him that one of the charges because he, on the scene of Spinnaker, he kicked the door so hard he bent the door off the frame. Once he was advised of that, he said that if he's going to jail for damaging property.
And at the time that this occurred, was your in-car camera
Yes.
on at the time? And it was on and activated? And do you recognize this video?
Yes.
What is this? And is this a fair and accurate representation of the video that your in-car camera recorded of your patrol vehicle?
Yes.
Your Honor, people would move to admit people's proposed exhibits. I'm sorry, I think I lost count. Were we at
We did 7.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12?
Okay.
And these would also be in clips, Your Honor.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 are admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That's shit weird, bro. So weird as fuck, bro. I mean that shit. I hope that shit get on with you, I think, too. That shit weird as fuck, bro. I just walked in, put a whole gun on my face, bro. Y'all wanna take me to jail for a fucking MDO. Y'all said for 1 ounce. So for domestic violence, for 1 ounce, resisting arrest. So you wanna, hold on, y'all drunk as fuck, bro. And you trying to make you change, bitch. I know why you don't like me, because you used to cut off my mouth and you're a bitch, man. You're a fucking cheat, nigga. You're weird, nigga. But you was the main one twisting my arm and doing that lame ass. Y'all don't be sick as fuck when I'm out tomorrow all that shit, bro. Without that ass fucking wrong. I'm not fucking again, bro. That shit right in the shit, bro. Weird ass shit, bro. I'm still putting on my lips. But I don't got no man for the shit, bro. For NDOP, I'm saying, do I have NDOP on me? So I got it, right? Yes or no? I told somebody to break out the window again. See? Why y'all wanna do stuff like that to me, bro? Why y'all wanna do it? Window off. Yeah, nigga. Yeah, nigga. Why y'all wanna do that to me? Why y'all wanna do that to me, no? Why y'all wanna do that to me? Nigga. Y'all weird as fuck.
And Your Honor, I apologize. It would be, the last one would be exhibit 11, not 12.
11.
Correct. So after this, was your patrol car damaged?
Yes.
Did you get an estimate for the cost of those damages? About how much was that estimate? And did you provide this estimate to the people? Your Honor, may I approach the witness of people's proposed exhibit 12?
12. Any objection to 12? Oh, Judge. 12 is admitted.
And may we publish that to the court, Your Honor?
Yes, sir. Got you calling up.
Your Honor, may I have a moment? Thank you. Nothing further from the people.
Cross-examination.
Officer Gerwig,
Yes, sir.
you said Mr. Printup told you that what did Mr. Printup tell you again?
on scene or
When you came on the scene to talk to him?
that his daughter, sorry, the names are real close together. His daughter Lucinda and her boyfriend Devin got into it.
You said he told you they picked you up and slammed you too, right? Why didn't you put that in your report? Would you like to refresh your, you say?
I said, if you're asking me about it, I take it's probably not in there.
It's not. So why didn't you put it in your report if that's what he told you? That seems like a pretty big detail.
Yes. Are you talking with Parker?
So basically, what he told you was they both were fighting, correct?
Correct.
And he never told you who started it, correct? He never said, was my client trying to protect herself or was he the aggressor, correct? You knew there was blood, but you didn't know where it came from. He never said that the blood came from his daughter, but that was the assumption, correct? Now, when you came on the scene where Devin was, how many officers were there already?
The second. Not the where his dad was, the one with.
Right, second call.
Everybody that was already showed up on the first one, so 4 after me.
It was 4 after you
I believe so.
or 4 before you? With you? Okay, so you were one of the first on the scene. And was Lucinda there when you came to arrest Devin?
I believe that was her.
You believe that was her? So you wouldn't know who Lucinda was if you seen? Got you. How many times have you met Lucinda and Lucius? Print up.
My partner has.
How many times have you met him?
Have I met him once before?
You say once before?
Possibly, yes.
When's the last time you talked to Mr. Printup, Lucius Printup?
For this?
Before this court date? You haven't? When was the last time you talked to him before you were on the scene with him? Before you pulled up on the scene to talk to Mr. Lucius to investigate the situation before you went to go arrest Debbie? When was the last time that you talked to Mr. Printup? You said once before that, correct? When? I said when? When was the last time? You don't understand the time? You don't understand the time frame? I'm asking you, you said, this is what I'm trying to get to. How long have you known Mr. Printup? Because you said you remember his voice. You said you would know his voice from the phone call and speakers. How would you know his voice from the phone call and speakers from something that happened a month ago? How many other people have you arrested?
I know the voice, which I just told you from the scene. I know his voice from a phone call.
So you got that good of a memory?
I want to talk to him on the scene and hear a phone call, it would be correct, yes.
Got you. But you forgot to put the body slam in the report.
Is that a question or?
I'm sorry, that was commentary, young.
Okay, I don't need it.
I know, and I apologize. Now, when you came on the scene, were you all trying to arrest him? Was it a collaborative effort of all the officers there? You have to arrest my client. When you did arrest him, was there, right?
Well, kind of resisting us, that yes, all of us did.
Did he assault any officers individually? Did he resist you individually, or were all the officers being resisted? So he was resisting the collaborative effort that you all were using to try and arrest him. Would that be a correct, accurate statement? Did he ever assault you? I do understand he did say a negative comment to you.
About my age and descent, that's correct.
He did, and which is reprehensible. But did he ever threaten you because of your age and descent?
My age and descent? No, he never threatened.
Did he ever threaten to damage any property you had because of your age and descent? So it basically was a statement. Out of my client's anger and the excitement of the situation.
A very derogatory statement. Yes.
No, very derogatory. And I'm not going to take that fact from you. I'm sorry that happened.
There was nothing relation between he's saying he's damaged anything of mine because of my age and descent. No.
Got you. All right, no further questions, John.
All right, anything else?
I have one moment, Your Honor.
Right.
People, Your Honor.
All right, you may step down. Thank you. The next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. People called Deputy Samaha, Your Honor.
Please come forward and be sworn.
I'm sworn to affirm state spelling your first and last name for the record.
First name, Deputy Samaha, spelled D-E-E-N-A, last name spelled S-A-M-A-H.
Give me that again. I'm sorry.
My last name?
Yes, please.
Sir.
That was easy. All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Deputy Samaha, what do you do for a living? And how long have you been employed there? Okay. I'd like to direct your attention to March 14th of 2025. On that date, were you working?
I was.
What shift?
The noon shift.
And were you in a marked patrol car that day? Were you in uniform?
I was.
And during that shift, did you find yourself at 8695 Spinnaker Way?
I did.
And how did you come to be at that address?
All came out and deputies Hill and Berwick were responding to that address. And I started making my way over there just to back them up.
Okay. And did you come into contact with anyone at that address?
Not at that address. Deputy Berwick at the time gave us the description of the two, male and female, and we went to BOL, which pretty much looked for them in the area.
Okay. And did you find anyone matching those descriptions?
I did.
Okay. And when you went to 8695 Spinnaker Way, was there anyone you came into contact with there? Okay. And how did you say Lucinda? Who is Lucinda?
So initially when I arrived there, she was, from my knowledge, the victim at the time. She was bleeding from her finger. I had no context whatsoever at that time. I just made my way back to the laundry room where she was, and she was like washing her hands.
Okay. And how did she appear to you?
She was definitely in distress, hysterical, kind of all over the place.
Okay. And what did you do after coming into contact with Lucinda?
I escorted her out of the building and towards my patrol vehicle.
Okay. And when you got to your patrol vehicle, how did she appear then?
She was bleeding from the finger, so we tried to clean her up. Essentially, she was able to carry her own body weight. Then she just kind of started going in and out of consciousness on me. At that time, I had her sit in the back of my patrol vehicle. I had my door open. She was not coherent, was not able to give me any statement. And she, again, just could not carry her own body weight. So at that time, my priority was to stabilize her head so she wouldn't hit it.
Okay. And what happened after that?
We requested HVA and they arrived and they took over.
Okay. Nothing further for this witness, Your Honor.
Cross examination.
I'm sorry. So, how do I pronounce your name? So I'll get it.
Samaha?
Samaha. Nice to meet you.
SAMA. Okay, I got that. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was about to ask that question. How many officers were there by the time you got to the scene?
When I arrived, there were 4, possibly 5, if I remember correctly.
Got you. And did you interact with both Mr. Gibson and Ms. Printup, or just Ms.
Just Ms. Printup.
You never seen Mr. Gibson put his hands on Ms. Printup?
No, sir. So I arrived after the fact. I was not there, no.
I mean, you say she was in a hysterical state.
Correct.
Did she ever tell you that my client put his hands on you?
She did not give me a statement, no, sir.
She didn't give you any statement? Did she tell you that he didn't do it? He didn't do anything?
So from what I can recall properly, she did not give me any statement at all. Again, she was kind of in that state of going in and out of consciousness. So I just stopped questioning. We didn't get any further, no statement, no questioning. It was just kind of making sure that she did not hit her head at that point.
Did you see any injuries on her head?
Not on her head, no.
The only injury you seen was on her finger. So, is it safe to say you don't know why she was feeling the way she felt, or?
That is correct. I could not tell you why she felt the way that she felt.
All right, thank you. No further questions, Dan.
Can you redirect?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Dan.
No further witnesses for the people, Your Honor.
All right. Witnesses, all right. Well, what do you want to do? Well, what do you tell me?
All right, we'll do this.
No, you don't tell me. Go ahead.
Do the next case?
You want to do the bind over on this one?
Please.
Go ahead.
Okay, Your Honor, at this time, the people would motion for bind over. The court heard testimony from Deputy Gerwig saying that when she's reported an incident, the defendant slammed the victim onto the ground, making her hit her head and lose consciousness. The court further heard from Deputy Samaha that after this event, she had a cut and also was unable to hold up her own body, hold up her head, was incoherent from this injury that she sustained from the defendant. The court further saw body cam footage as well as the in-car footage of the defendant resisting the arrest of the officers, refusing to put his hands behind his back, 10 seconds away, refusing to walk to the car, fighting with officers while he was being arrested. The court also saw in the car the defendant spit on the car multiple times, as well as kicking out the window and causing extensive damage, over $2,000 to that patrol car. So I believe we have met the burden of probable cause in this case to ask the court to bind over.
Response.
Respectfully, Your Honor, when it comes to the assault with intent to great bodily harm, domestic violence, our client, first of all, we don't have any witness to witness it. The only thing we have is tape and the officer statements when the officer statement and the 911 tape in which you could hear him clearly say they both are fighting. We don't know who was the aggressor in that situation. Unfortunately, I can't cross-examine anybody to find out what was going on. We do hear on the phone where he said he picked her up, my client, picked his print up and slammed her, but we don't know what that means. I can't cross-examine him and say, how was that? Was she trying to hit him? Did he grab her? And that happened. Was it in self-defense? We don't have any of that in front of us, Your Honor. Respectfully, when it comes to the resisting obstructing a police officer, I think we got one resisting obstructing for the most part. In Michigan case law, it has to be an individualized attack on each officer when they charge it in different counts. In this case, this was one situation which a group of officers were attempting to arrest my client. It's not like he kicked one officer, punched another officer. It was one big, and I wouldn't even say it was assault. It wouldn't even go to the assault part, more the resisting part. He was potentially resisting arrest. He was actually frightened, and I wouldn't even call it resisting arrest. He was just frightened, but if we're gonna call it that, he was fighting arrest from multiple officers at the same time. So I would just say that wouldn't be against four different officers. Is one.
You have that case law?
I do, Your Honor. I'm glad you asked.
All right.
Give me 1 second. I did a lot of research on this case.
Okay. How many does you got if you can find it?
Say
nothing. Man.
Oh no, I want to lie. I want to present.
No, I know. I'm just asking. You need to show it to me.
I know that's right.
Not here.
We do got. Is there internet I can hop on in here?
Pardon?
I need my internet to work.
No, I don't know. Mine's working. So you can't. There's a public access. You should be able to access it.
Usually I got cellular data. My internet's not working. My cellular data's not working. Thank you.
This is only 1 minute. I can if I flip it. No. That document? No way you're talking. Did you get your internet?
I did, yeah.
Okay, good.
I'm looking for it. I guarantee you I got case law.
Okay. Tomatoes. No.
If you go to People in Wars, 314 Mishap.
314 Mishap.
399, 2016.
And what's it say?
It says, the holding is multiple counts of resisting obstructing where appropriate, where the defendant committed distinct acts against multiple officers. Let me see, first 2 convictions where the conduct was one continuous act that affected multiple officers.
Sounds to me like you said it's appropriate then to charge.
It's not appropriate to charge, Your Honor. And the ethnic intimidation, you really can't do that because with ethnic intimidation, he didn't do it because of Mr. Gerwig. I think actually Deputy Gerwig, he stated accurately, it would not amount to ethnic intimidation. Right. Now, it was a horrible thing.
Absolutely reprehensible and hurtful and beyond the pale in terms of what another human being should say, but it may not constitute a crime. You're right.
I agree. So I think we only got about 1 count of resisting obstruction. At the most, no ethnic intimidation, and we don't have witnesses here in which I can cross-examine anything that was being said. The biggest thing we heard is that they both were fighting. That was consisted in the report from Deputy Gerwig. That was consisted in the statement from off of 911 call. We did also hear that he picked her up and slammed her. Well, we don't know the reasoning behind that, and we don't know what that means. I'm not able to talk to Mr. Printup and say, did he pick her up because she was hitting on him like this and dropped her? I'm not able to do that, Your Honor. So respectfully, actually we're asking to not bind over all the charges, but I would understand if there is 1 resisting obstruction charge.
One.
I understand in the malicious destruction.
At what point are we talking about the resisting obstructor? Are we talking about in the hallway where at least I saw 3 distinct incidents? Are we talking about going down the stairway, which once at the bottom I saw another incident? And or are we talking about at the car when when he refused to follow the officer's instructions?
I would call that.
Which resisting and obstructing would you say is the one?
I would say, well, I can't say. I say if anything. That's why I put if anything. But I don't see three different distinct acts here. I see it all as one continuous act of the police trying to arrest him and put him in the car. That's how I see it. Once they got the cuffs on him, got him up, he walked down.
Okay, yeah. I see how you may be looking at it. I think you're wrong, but okay.
Right, that's how I'm looking at it. Respectfully, that's what we asked.
All right. Anything, I don't need any additional argument, but is there an argument from the people? All right, the court, after all of the evidence in the case and seeing the exhibits and the videos, would find that the people have indeed sustained their burden as to the majority of these counts. As it regards count one, the assault with the intent to commit great bodily harm, less than murder, not only by the statements, but also when Deputy Smaha shows up afterwards, her interaction with Miss Printup buttresses that case of her getting dropped on her head, because first of all, she has a cut. There's the blood that's in the apartment, but then also, as described by Officer Smaha, her inability to carry on a coherent conversation. And as the deputy indicated, she was looking to destabilize her head. It's obvious that something had occurred given the statements that were made. I think that people could show, and that a reasonable fact finder could conclude that there was an assault with intent to do great bodily harm done on Ms. Printup by this defendant. So therefore, the court will bind the defendant over on that charge. Count two, the malicious destruction of fire and police property. I don't think should be any dispute. One can watch the video and see definitely that's exactly what he did. He did almost $2,500, $2,600 worth of damage to that vehicle in his little fit of rage that he went into. With regard to the resisting and obstructing, as contained in counts 3, 4, 5, and 6, the court, while understanding what the defendant is saying, if it were this one event in there, it could be charged as only, or properly found to be only one. But when one looks at the video, one can either do this by officer or the separate events that this defendant engaged in as they are trying to take him into custody. As I indicate, you just need to look at the acts of the defendant and what the officers had to do, because there are some officers that aren't even engaged with the initially, but have to then engage, which he then resists, that are happening in that hallway area or that vestibule area. There is then additional resisting and obstructing as he's coming down the stairway, and other officers have to jump in to try to get him to do that, particularly when he gets outside. He is walking after they've had to carry him down. He then goes into another event where he stops moving, and they have to then move the officer. The officers have to move him. They then finally get him to the vehicle. Sitting there, they're trying to get him to just put himself into the vehicle as they have sat him in the doorway, and he is refusing to do that. And then the officers have to re-engage with this defendant to then put him in. So whether it be by officer or whether it be by event, as the court has laid out, I think the charges of resisting and obstructing, and quite frankly, I think that there could be more, but I will bind the defendant over on 4 counts of resisting and obstructing. With regard to, and I've already stated it, with regard to the ethnic intimidation, I think it's one of the most despicable things this defendant could have entered into. Obviously not your finest moment, but also just say shameful as a human being. In particular, shameful is you can roll your eyes all you want, but I'm gonna tell you what, when you can sit there and say that kind of thing, as a man of color growing up in this country, don't know how you get there. But I don't think it fits the crime of ethnic intimidation, and won't bind him over on that charge. The defendant is bound over on counts 1 through 6. You know what? You better check your client. take him back. I bind him over. We'll call the next case up after you check him. Got to finish his arraignment once he's here on the information, but I can't do it at this moment. Pardon? I don't think they're going to allow him back. I'll leave that to the sheriff's department to do, but if they say no, sir, I can't order them to let that happen. All right.
Want me to go on before I say something? Okay, yeah, I'll go.
Now, meet Mr. Buckner, a man who thought he could intimidate a witness in open court and walk away unscathed. Let's see how well that worked out for him.
Be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so God. See, state and spell your first and last name for the record.
My name is Amy, it's A-M-E-E, my last name is Hudson, G-A-S-O.
All right, you may inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. And just one other matter. My officer in charge, Deputy Von Heath, is present in the courtroom. He's the only other witness I have present. I don't intend to call him, but he is present.
All right, good.
Miss Hudson, directing your attention back to the date of April the 1st of this year, 2025, were you in this courthouse testifying in a preliminary examination on a different matter?
Yes,
And was that in this very courtroom, courtroom C?
yes,
And who was the judge at the time? Judge Washington? Okay. And was the defendant in that case, based on your understanding, Ms. Hudson, Mr. Buckner?
yes,
Is he present in the courtroom here today?
yes.
Can you identify an article of clothing that he's wearing?
He was wearing,
Okay. Your Honor, may the record reflect in-court identification of the defendant?
Without objection, record shows so reflect.
And I don't want to get into the facts of that case, but you were some sort of witness in that criminal case. Was that a criminal case?
yes,
And you were a witness in it?
yes,
Okay. And had you testified before Judge Washington in that matter on the date of April 1st, 2025?
yes,
Okay. At some point, were you done testifying?
yes.
Okay. After you were done testifying, what did you do?
I went and sat back down while they called up the next witness.
Okay. Where did you sit down?
About where I was sitting when I stood up today, maybe one row up.
Okay. So we're making a transcription of this. So I'm going to have to
It
be,
was on the right-hand side.
you're pointing in the courtroom. So you remained in the courtroom?
Yes, I remained in.
Okay. So you sat down in what we would call the gallery of the courtroom from where you are sitting in the witness stand on the right-hand side. And you said about the third row back.
Third row back.
Okay. And you did that while another witness was testifying. Okay. And at some point in time, did that witness stop testifying?
Yes.
Okay. What happened after that witness stopped testifying?
The judge asked for some more information and then she called for a break.
Okay. She stood up to take a break? Okay. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. And what happened when the judge stood up to take a break?
When they called the court for recess, he was on the left-hand side.
Who's he?
Mr. Buckner was on the left-hand side. He stood up. He was around two people that had already started to be in the row.
I'm going to just stop you right there. So you've said the left-hand side. That would be the left-hand side of the courtroom from where you are seated in the witness stand today.
Yes.
Okay. That would be the side that the defendants normally sit at?
Yes.
Okay. Where was the defendant seated?
He was in the first row back.
In the gallery?
In the gallery.
Okay, so he was not seated at counsel table?
No.
Okay, so the judge got off the bench and exited the courtroom?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the judge, she did not hide away. She stood up, as they were calling. There was two people up front talking to her. And then when she got done speaking to them, that's when they called the recess. And he stood up
He being the defendant?
towards the middle. There was two people already going to go to exit. He waited until the sound went out.
Okay, when you say how do you know he waited until the sound went out?
Because he turned around and he looked. He
Objection, speculation.
I'm gonna overrule the objection. I'm gonna let her.
He stopped. He looked back. The minute
Hold on. Look back at
at the
where?
screen, he looked back at the screen to make sure that the judge.
I'm gonna just
Okay.
I'll stop you there. We're going to unpack this a little bit in Diana Court's
Okay.
concern. So you observed the defendant. You said he stopped. Where did he physically stop?
In the middle.
In the middle aisle? Okay.
Yeah.
Where was he in the middle of the aisle, close to what we would call the bar or close to the back door of the court?
He was in the middle, closer towards this side of it.
Your motion to right. Okay.
Yes.
But I'm asking you, distance wise, was he in this area or was he in the back part of the?
No, he was closer towards the.
You are still, fair to say, you are still seated in the third row
Still seated.
on the side of the courtroom.
Yes.
Okay. When the defendant stopped, is he looking at you or is he looking somewhere else?
When he first stopped, he was looking like straight ahead. And then he.
Straight ahead toward,
Yeah,
The exit door.
towards the exit door.
Yes.
Okay.
And when he stopped, he turned around and he looked.
And in what direction, when he turns around and looks, in what direction is he looking?
He's looking to see if the judge is.
I'm not, and so that's, I'm not asking you, you can testify to things that you see, things that you hear, things that you witness. You can't testify to what someone else is thinking.
Right.
Okay,
No, he
so,
turned in the direction as to where the judge stand is.
okay, so just so we're clear, the defendant was looking towards the back doors of the courtroom. He then turned around and is looking in the direction of where the bench and the TVs are.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the bench and the TVs are.
At some point, does he then turn back around to look towards the back door?
Yes, he does.
When did he do that?
The minute the screen started making that sound.
Like a white noise sound?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, like,
And I will direct your attention right,
okay, go ahead.
I'll direct your attention right now. There are screens on in this courtroom. You see those?
yes,
And they're depicting the court and yourself in the witness stand. Is that correct?
yes.
Okay. Did the screens look like that when the okay. What did they look like if
They
you look?
were like, as if cable went out, they were, there was nothing there. It said private.
Okay, it said private.
There's a black screen with private written in white.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
At that point, once the screens changed from showing the video of the courtroom to this private, what did the defendant do?
He walked on to the right-hand side, stopped to where I was sitting and made verbal threats.
Okay, he said something to you?
Yes,
What did he say to you?
he called me.
I'm gonna stop you right there.
Yes,
Hold on a moment. You mentioned something and I just need to clarify this. You said that there was static.
yes, sir.
What was that you're talking about?
There were no more pictures showing. It was just a like when you call up the nurse to speak to you, it makes a noise. It makes a noise. I don't know how to describe it. It's not it's not a silent noise. It makes a noise to where it's not recording anymore. Do you want me to sit down so you can turn it off?
No, I went here every day. I'm just trying to figure out what you're talking about. You're saying it made a noise.
Yes, the screen went blank, and it like it's out of noise. Like there's noise
Coming out of the speakers.
Yes, coming out of the speakers.
Was it a constant noise?
It was, and then I'll be honest, I don't know if it was or not.
Gotcha. Okay. Just one other thing.
That's fine.
When you said Judge Washington was talking to two people,
Mhm.
was she talking to two people in front of the bench or two
Yes.
people behind the bench?
No, two people in front.
So she was speaking to two people in front of the bench. All right. At the point at which she's doing that, can you hear that conversation?
No,
Okay, at the point at which she's doing that, do you hear anything in the courtroom?
no. I mean, I can hear people talk, but not up front. I mean, just what, people may be saying as they're sitting on the gallery.
Right. But do you hear anything else?
No,
Okay. And she had that conversation and turned around and left.
yes, they call.
At the point that that happened, What was on the screen?
Before, when she got done speaking to them,
Not as she's talking to them.
it's,
What's on the screen?
there's nothing on the screen.
All
And
right.
then she got done speaking and the video came back up before they called recess.
And you said the video came back up, the video like it is right now?
Yes, and it
Okay.
just showed her on the bench. There was no one on the stand.
Okay, go ahead.
So at some point, as we've discussed, the defendant then turns and is walking, now facing back towards the back door,
Yes.
which would also be in the direction that you are in relation to the defendant.
He's just recapping what she's saying, so I'll overrule that. Go ahead.
Yes,
Okay. And you had previously said the defendant said something to you.
yes.
Okay. What did he say to you?
He called me a lying bitch and told me that if he was gonna be even, he was gonna get me. That was the last thing he did. He was gonna get me.
Did you say anything in response to that?
No,
How did that statement by the defendant make you feel?
threatened.
After he made that statement to you, where did the defendant go?
He turned around, looked back one more
And
time.
I'm going to stop you there just so we're clear. So the time he's talking to you, is the defendant looking towards the back of the courtroom or the front of the courtroom?
He's looking towards, well, he's looking at me.
Right.
At the exit.
Okay, so he's away from where the judge would sit.
Yes,
Okay. After he makes that statement, you said he turns around.
yes.
Okay. When he turns around, in what direction is he now facing?
He's facing back towards the front where the judge would be sitting for
Okay.
this area.
At the time he turns around, is judge on the bench?
No,
Okay. If you recall, at the time he turns around, who would be I'm motioning on the other side of the bar, who were there attorneys or people present?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
his lawyer was still on the left-hand side. You guys were still on the right-hand side.
You guys being someone from the prosecutor's office?
Prosecuting,
Okay.
yes. And there was one officer also on the right-hand side, and there was one officer sitting out in the galley, like 2 up from me.
Okay. So the defendant makes a statement to you. He turns around and he's now facing back in the direction of where the judge would sit. And what
Mhm.
happens next?
The minute he saw that his lawyer was coming out, he turned around and took out the exit door.
Okay.
And again, speculation of what my client saw.
Okay. I would agree. So
Let me ask-
his lawyer, what you saw, ma'am, was his lawyer starting to leave and then he left.
Yeah. The minute
That's
he
what
saw-
you, no, that's what you saw.
Yes,
Okay, thank you. I think that corrects it. That's what.
Um,
Go ahead.
And did you remain seated in the gallery of the courtroom or did you exit the courtroom at that point?
I remained seated.
Okay. And at some point after this fact, did you bring what had happened to someone else's attention?
Yes,
And who was
it
that?
was one of the police officers.
One of the police officers present in the courtroom?
Yes.
Okay. After you made contact with the police officer, did you have any further interactions with the defendant, Mr. Buckner? Okay. Certainly not in the courtroom,
Right,
correct?
right.
Okay. Anything in the hallway of the courthouse?
No,
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem, Your Honor.
While you do that, ma'am, you said you were seated in the third row. How far in on that third row were you?
right there where the gentleman is with the black sweatshirt.
So you were seated on the end
Yes.
toward the aisle.
Yes,
Okay.
I have no further questions, Judge. Thank you.
Cross-examination.
Okay, ma'am, you were here to testify, and if you remember, was that in case number 25 FB 1106, if you know?
I have no idea.
Did you get a subpoena to come to court and testify in that
No.
case? In that case?
I did not get a subpoena.
Okay.
They asked me to come and testify.
Now, it's my understanding that you're indicating that you are
Picking
seated
him up. Picking him up.
in the gallery of the courtroom right here.
Wow. Okay, yeah, gotcha.
Is that correct?
Yes,
And you said that there's a member of law enforcement 2 rows up, sitting right here, where there's an individual with a sheriff's shirt.
yes,
And your testimony to Mr. Buckner comes down the hall, the aisleway, stands at that same pew where the law enforcement officer was and issues a threat to you, which would have been within 15 feet of a law enforcement officer.
I never said that. I said he stopped at where I was sitting and said something to me. I never at any time said anything that he stopped where the police officer was sitting in the pew.
So when he stopped, he was at your row,
Yes,
but there was still a law enforcement officer 2 rows up.
yes,
Was there other law enforcement officers in the courtroom like there are today?
sitting in the corner up here on the right-hand side where the gentleman is with the glasses.
When any of, I'm sorry,
Sitting where?
The gentleman with the glasses over here?
Mr. Byrd?
Yes, that's where the other.
Oh,
officer-
on this side? On this side?
On this side.
On the right? Okay,
Yes.
go ahead, Counsel.
when this statement was allegedly made, none of the law enforcement officers in the courtroom jumped up and said anything?
No,
Now, you indicated that after you testified, you stayed in the courtroom.
yes,
Was there a sequestration order was there an order that you leave the courtroom after you finished testifying?
no,
Okay, so you heard the testimony after your testimony.
yes,
Mr. Buckner's lawyer at the time challenged the accusations that you made regarding Mr. Buckner, correct?
In which case?
In the case you were there to testify about.
Your Honor, I would object to what that other lawyer did. That would be hearsay.
I'm not asking for
Well,
what,
she's asking, I'll overrule that. I mean, he's not asking what she said. He's just asking what her impression of what he did.
right.
So, go on.
His lawyer in the case you were there to testify on was challenging you on the assertions, allegations you made about Mr. Buckner.
for that case?
Yes.
Well, I mean, I don't know if he was challenging me, he was just questioning me the
Okay.
same as you are.
And there was another witness that came up to testify after you're correct.
Yes,
You heard that witness's testimony.
yes,
You were there when the preliminary examination ended, correct?
yes,
That Judge Washington, found that there was no probable cause that Buckner committed a crime, correct?
I would object.
Well, Your Honor, the relevance is they've charged my client with intimidating.
I'm gonna overrule the objection.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Judge Washington found that there was no probable cause to believe that Mr. Buckner committed a crime after you testified, correct?
she also stated that it can be called back up if they get the proof that they need.
Okay, which fair, all right? So after you made accusations about Mr. Buckner pointing guns at people, correct?
What does that have to do with this case?
Ma'am, I don't,
Answer the question, ma'am.
Yes, I did.
you made accusations that you saw him deliver crack from a great distance away? You didn't make the accusation? Did you make an accusation that you saw him point a gun at somebody?
Yes.
Okay, no further questions, y'all.
I have no redirect, Judge. Thank you.
All right. Ma'am, how long did it take you to report this to somebody?
10 minutes.
Where was Mr. Buckner when you reported this?
He had walked out of the courtroom.
How long after he walked out of the courtroom did you report it?
Within probably 2 minutes, if even that,
To whom?
to the police officer passing by.
Which police officer? Is that officer here today?
Yes,
Okay, and that's who you reported it to?
yes,
That interaction, and if you look back on the right-hand side where the gentleman seated in the black shirt is, you're saying that's where you were sitting. When Mr. Buckner came down the aisle, you'll notice that the back row is basically a handicap accessible row or a non-handicap accessible row. You see that where it extends out?
yes.
How close was Mr. Buckner to you when he's making these comments?
He was past where the gentleman is sitting with the black sweatshirt, and he was in between that row and the woman sitting right behind him.
Because that's a little bit different than what you told me before. Because you're saying that he was where the gentleman seated in the black
Right.
is, he was past him toward the door.
No, right, there's, right where he's sitting, at that spot right there. There's a spot, not where you would enter, but where would be if you're standing beside. So closer towards the opening of the back row.
So he's standing closest to the opening of the back row.
Right, but he's beside where the gentleman is with the black sweatshirt. And that's where it's,
But he's over on that side of the courtroom?
yes,
So ma'am, are you telling me he's no longer in the middle aisle?
No, he crossed from the middle aisle to stand closer towards the right-hand side. He's no longer in the middle. He's standing like as if you're having a one-on-one private conversation with somebody.
How loud were these comments you say he was making?
They were not very, other people were walking out of the courtroom. I could hear them, but it's not like he was screaming them. I mean, they were normal voices.
When you testified in the previous matter, was there a victim's advocate assigned to you?
Yes, there was a victim's advocate.
So after you testified, did you talk to that victim's advocate?
No, they asked me to just go sit into the courtroom.
I want to go back, ma'am. At the time that you say Mr. Buckner got up, what's on the screens in the courtroom?
Screen was still on to where you could see where the judge was sitting. And then she called for a conference, and then the screen went blank. And then the screen went back up to where you could see where the judge was sitting, and then she called for a recess.
And then what happened to the screen when she called for a recess?
And then the screen went blank and said, right, it didn't show any pictures, didn't show any people anymore.
Prior to the judge taking recess, was it Mr. Buckner's other case that was being heard, the case that you were there for?
That case had been heard, and then honestly, another case was heard, there was a witness, but I think he was sitting out in the galley, and I think that they had started to call for another case. Because I don't think that.
Had your case that you were there on, had it concluded at that point?
Yes, because he was sitting out in the galley.
So then my question is, if that case had concluded, the judge had made a ruling?
No, she had asked for some more information, and they had set it aside for a minute and was gonna call it back up.
And so had they called another case?
Yes,
Was Mr. Buckner's attorney on that case?
no, he was sitting on the left side, where the gentleman is behind his lawyer right now where the glass is.
So he had moved back to the chair.
Yes,
But during Mr. Buckner's case, he was at the table with Mr. Buckner.
yes.
That period in time, from that time, that case ending till the judge took a recess, approximately how much time was there? Mr. Buckner, you said was in that first row, right?
Yes,
How far into that first row was he?
right on the end.
So he's right on the end, seated where I guess the young lady in the pink would be.
Yes.
Sorry to use the people as props, but that's where he was sitting.
Yes,
So he's sitting right behind his attorney. And then at some point he gets up
yes.
and walks back. Were you the only witness that had testified in that previous case?
No, it was me and one police officer, but I was the only.
Where was the police officer that testified?
He was sitting over, on the right-hand side where the gentleman is with the glasses.
Did he testify before or after you?
After me,
He testified after you.
yes.
Was there another witness then?
They stopped because the judge asked for information. So they were pausing it to see if they could collect the information that was needed to proceed with the case.
So I'm clear, you were the first witness to testify, right?
Yes,
The next witness was a police officer.
yes,
And all during that time, Mr. Buckner is at the table where approximately where he is right now.
yes,
Then at some point, there's a break. Mr. Buckner leaves the table
yes.
and is seated in basically the first seat in the first row behind defense counsel.
Yes,
Then another case is called,
yes.
right? And was it the attorneys on that next case? Was that who the judge was talking to?
Yes, I don't know if it was it was someone from the state and then someone representing that person. So yes, that's who the judge was talking to.
They were the attorneys on the next case.
Yes,
And the judge spoke with them.
yes.
As the judge is speaking with them, what do you hear in the courtroom?
The noise coming from the speaker and
What noise?
the, whatever that noise is. I don't know how to describe it. But just so we can't hear what's being said up here at the.
Oh, so you hear that.
Yes,
At the point that you hear that, where is Mr. Buckner?
still seated.
The judge then leaves that session, gets up to walk out.
Right, but the screens turned back. When they went back towards their tables, the screens went back to where you could see the judge. And then they called recess.
All right. At the point that they call recess, where is Mr. Buckner?
That's when he stands up, goes towards the middle of it, and then there's two people. He goes, and then that's when he stops. There's two people getting out like in the next row.
How many people were behind Mr. Buckner in the gala?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean,
How many people was there a person sitting behind you?
I don't think so.
Was there a person next to you?
No,
Was there a person in front of you, which would have been in the second aisle?
I don't. If there was, I think.
Didn't ask that. Do you know whether or not, okay, do you know whether there was a person 2 aisles up?
Yes.
Who was-
Police officer.
And how far over was the police officer? You're saying where the gentleman that just sat down in the blue tie would be? Mr. Warren
No,
Green, that's your.
further over. He's probably where the other officer is, if not closer towards.
So
the wall.
he's further over toward the wall.
Yes,
Is there anybody else in that row that you recall?
no,
Is there any, so where you are, you're saying there's nobody in your row?
not that I remember, but not that I remember.
Behind you, you're indicating that there's nobody behind you in that row.
Not that I remember.
In front of you, the row would be directly in front of you. There's nobody in that row that you recall.
Not in front of me, there was someone down.
There was what?
There was someone down closer towards where the gentleman is with the blue tie.
There were two people right there?
Yeah. They weren't towards the edge, they were in the middle down.
When Mr. Buckner allegedly makes those comments, do they turn around?
I was not paying attention. I just put my head down and just let it happen.
I know, council approach briefly. This is too far. There was a, all right, let's go get that. So what I'm gonna do in this case is, and I talked with council, I'm gonna take a brief break, get some information, get it to council, and then continue the hearing after that.
May this witness be excused or is the court obviously appropriate if the court wants to inquire based on reviewing the video?
I don't want this witness excused at this point because I may have questions and the video also may give rise to questions from Mr. Johnson. All right. So we'll pause in this case. You may step down, ma'am, and I'll call you back up. And court's going to take a brief recess.